I can't believe that I've given you a revelation. We'll have to discuss that in the second half of the private. The private will be split this week into health and well-being.
And
health
and family
my
histories.
childhood mental well-being.
Family histories.
Yeah.
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 Interesting. Very interesting stuff. Every day.
We just wasted, I think, 15, 20 minutes talking. And we should have recorded that, really.
On tape.
That should have been the private.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing defamatory, which often happens in our off-air conversations.
Wouldn't you love to be hearing that? Our pre-recording.
We did. I said to you earlier, when we've completed 19 of our 20-year sentence, in our 20th year,
we can just say have an uncut.
In our 20th year, this show's going to go wild.
No holds barred.
We'll give some strong, definitive opinions on some things.
Yeah. Not yet, though.
Not yet, though.
Not yet.
You're going to have to wait another 5 years.
Still got to earn some money.
Hang on, so if we're in our 14th, it's 5. Wait.
6 to go. 6.
So it's 5 years till we go loose. That's not long.
5.5. Yeah.
6 to go is not long, is it?
But the thing is, though, we've reached that point and we might want to go further.
Oh, so you're talking contract extensions already? I may be in discussions with another bloke.
No, well, you're younger than me a little bit. And you might, there might be...
So hang on, did we do the numbers? So it's six on now, so I'll be 54. You'll be 73?
No. You idiot. In how many years? In 5 years?
Well, 6 is the ending.
6. I'll be 63 in 6 years. I'm 57. I just turned 57 in February.
When I get older,
I know I don't look it. I know that.
Many years from now.
So
I'm singing when I'm 64.
I heard that.
Just checking.
But I said 63 anyway.
I know, but I'm adding as I do.
So yeah, mate, it's that's
we will have to rename. Here's a pledge. If we go past the 20, we'll put a little arrow and the word old.
Two old
blokes talking tech. Because by then it's already enough that
it'll just be a rant.
The TikTok comments are often, "What's this boomer doing?" I'm like, I don't think you know what a baby boomer is, you idiot. Boomers are much older than us.
But you read the comments, mate. Do you read all the comments? I read nothing.
No, I scroll through.
I don't read comments.
Because I like to engage with the good ones.
I'll tell you what I do. I do read the comments when people watch us on YouTube. Our show,
100%.
I love reading the comments because they're all, there's no one
genuine.
Nasty. They're all good.
Yeah, we
nice
know
comments.
we've grown too big if there's nasty.
Oh, yeah, no. We don't. We've got our audience, we've got a fine audience.
Yes.
And they appreciate what we do. And more and more people are coming to the video, am I right? Or more people coming to YouTube?
It's been good, yeah.
So... we go to a lot of trouble for you guys. And don't forget, the private feed is right below. Look below. You can watch the private feed a day early, A day early.
That's it.
Day early,
private
and
feed
you
is
can
available
watch it.
Same time as the normal show.
Yeah.
I've been a victim of my own success again on the TikTok. So I did a video 2 years ago at IFA of the LG suitcase TV.
Yeah.
Millions of
Still
views.
paying off.
It went really well.
Yeah.
And now idiots are starting to use it they might have taken it down because I reported it, so it's already been taken down. They're using it in ads for a $45 TV. It's like, click here for $45.
Oh, my God.
Thankfully, I've got mates who send them to me, and I can... But the process I had to go through, I had to find the video URL, I had to lodge a copyright claim. Now, in TikTok's defense, I did that this morning at 11, and it got taken down in 3 or 4 hours. So I'm pretty happy with that. Gina Reinhardt did claims on some Facebook ads. It took 2 years to get taken down.
I know.
So
can you believe
I'm actually pretty happy with that. But just a personal note, if you ever see videos of my videos that are appearing as ads,
sell something,
send them to me.
Him.
Text us the URL, whatever you have to do, and report it. Just hit report spam or something like that, just so it raises the red
TikTok's
flags.
TikTok's getting too big now. It's getting real big, and I'm happy to hear that it was quickly dealt with. But when is it going to be like a case of Meta trying to get through to them and try to get stuff done? And
mate,
like you said with Junior,
we're not even in the show, but let's editorialise for a minute.
Yeah,
I'm done with Meta. Again, like we've had 2 cases. One of them contacted both of us on the weekend or at the end of last week about their account being taken down for human trafficking or some weird thing.
Nothing,
And then I had another call on the weekend from a mate who's a cameraman at Channel 9 whose wife's accounts were taken down for human trafficking, apparently. Now, when accounts were taken down, and big accounts like 50,000, Facebook, Instagram, and her WhatsApp.
Yeah, and Instagram too is also they take Instagram down.
So, and we've discussed this before.
Yeah.
We don't. Unfortunately, we can't represent to Facebook on your behalf. I'm sorry, it's just too hard. Yeah. But there are some cases where you go, that's just like we got to try.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
at
this point, I'm literally getting the comment from Facebook, we can't help with that anymore.
I heard the same.
Now,
thing.
I
heard the same thing.
I had a private conversation with our contact, and I said, listen, it's gonna be big storms. It's going to be media reporting. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And he said, look, I appreciate what you're saying, and we raise it every time. That's all I can do. We let the head office know that we've got to do more. But the fact that it's still happening is just outrageous.
Yeah.
And we reiterate our advice to you right now. If you are listening to this and you have a Instagram account, a Facebook account, or a WhatsApp account that you rely on not just for contacting family but for business, if you feel it is your business and it's the way you operate, and if you lost it you would be losing revenue, pay for Meta Verified.
Like
and you have to pay twice, once for Instagram, once for you have to pay for every platform.
Yep.
But it means that you'll get customer service when you need it.
Yeah, you get
it
support.
means they will actually actively look for your identity. I didn't get a screenshot, but I got a pop up on my Facebook page, which is verified, and I got a thing saying we're now actively protecting your image.
Yeah. No.
So basically, if someone if you try and create an account with my face, theoretically,
that happened to me. It happened to me.
So, but now they're actively, hopefully,
I'm
protecting
thinking of getting Tech Guide verified. I haven't paid for Tech Guide to be Meta verified.
Meta verified, yeah.
I'm thinking of doing.
I mean, it's a business expense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No problem. Yeah. I'm thinking it'll just save hassle.
Well, given that even our contacts can't help us anymore, we're probably better.
That's tough. But like we a lot of the times we get calls from readers, listeners who didn't really take the time to have better security, like two-factor authentication, and they get hacked. Then we
should ask a lawyer if there's any lawyers listening. I'm curious.
Yeah,
Tech Guide is trademarked.
Yep.
If someone creates a Tech Guide page and utilizes utilizes for any illicit purposes, spam, scams, whatever, can we sue Facebook?
Yeah, I wonder.
Because that's a pretty good threat.
Yeah. No, there is the TM. I have trademarked my logo. Yeah. And it's happened. It's happened to me.
Yeah.
And I think this was before verified was something you just earned rather than paid for.
Yes.
And I remember that happened, and I went through the normal channels, and they said to me, sorry, they don't appear to be breaking community guidelines.
I love them.
Here's a way for you to block them. And they were using my logo, my photo of me.
I know, we've talked about it.
And they were trying to contact my listeners and readers, readers.
Dogs.
In a scam.
All of them.
They were scamming them. Yeah. And they still said, no, it doesn't go against community guidelines. So go figure that out. Problem is, mate, that's not a human making these decisions.
No, not at all.
What we just spoke about earlier, taken down, was an algorithm or something.
Yes.
Some computer did it.
Yeah.
It's not a human being doing it.
Yeah.
That's the issue here.
Anyway, that was very serious for the pre-show. Very serious.
Yeah, very
so
topical.
I think to make up for that, you need to find the private feed and have a listen this week, and
Definitely.
we'll talk men's health. And
yeah,
we've got a lot to get through.
Men's health.
To get through. It's going to happen. But anyway, before that, let's do this.
Welcome to Two Blokes.
Oh no, I don't do it that way anymore, do I? I've forgotten. I do the video now.
What the hell?
Oh no, what have I done? I've pressed the wrong button. We do this.
Welcome to Two Blokes Talking Tech
Not a bad price.
with Trevor Long from EFTM.com
Really handy device.
and Stephen Fennick from TechGuide.com.au.
Sorry, I've let the team down. You got all serious on me, so I was resorting to like playing stings after
Oh my God.
a topic.
Trevor got distracted.
I'm very distracted.
Wow.
Well, I can
Driver
control.
distraction.
I can drive the roadcaster on here on the computer, and I went. Oh,
So it was driver distraction. There
it
you
was
go.
100%.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the car that you're about to drive, driver distraction.
Really?
My
don't tell me that.
God, there's a
Really?
camera inside, like the Kia that detects whether you're looking, mate. It just beeps because you look at the screen to change the music.
Oh, please. Can you
Dude.
turn it off?
I'm just not sure if I'm going to tell you how. Anyway, episode 676
A brick will turn it off.
of Two Blokes Talking Tech. Thanks to the great people at Arlo and Netgear. We'll tell you about them shortly because they're great supporters of the show. They have been for 15 years or 14 years going to our 15th, and we appreciate that. So if you're in the market for networking at home, you want to upgrade your Wi-Fi system, Netgear's got you covered. And if you're looking for home security, you can't beat Arlo. They do it all very, very well. Now, Stephen, apologies, Bruce. It's an Apple week. But it's pretty big.
Don't they group their announcements?
It's big,
they seem to go, you know what, let's put them all in 1 week. Yeah.
They did that big device week like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And this week there's essentially 3 announcements. The first one is hearing, second one is WWDC, and the third one is maps. We'll touch on them all, but the big ones are hearing and WWDC. So last DubDub, or was it last DubDub? Last DubDub, they announced that they were bringing a hearing test and hearing aid feature to the Apple AirPods Pro 2.
Massive, this was. Massive.
Huge. And we got so many calls about it.
Radio interviews
but it was a coming soon. And then it launched at the end of the year in other markets, not Australia, because it required medical certification. So that's the TGA in Australia. Now,
TGA, and is it the, what do they call it in America? The
FDA.
FDA.
So
Food and Drug Administration.
So in Australia, this is the same for when Apple had the heart rate monitoring, AFib detection,
but
ECG.
It didn't take as long this time. I remember AFib took ages, remember?
I feel like that's a pretty big thing, you know. So I feel like this is easy to validate, but it did take Australia a lot longer. Yeah. And the TGA certification for this came through in December. So it's actually taken a really long time for them to get. Now, I can tell you that I still run the developer beta, and there was a developer beta, I'm going to say a month ago. Yep. I can tell you when it was because I did a test. There was a developer beta, and I thought, I wonder if this has dropped the hearing test, you know, and that's when it's going to come for everyone.
Yep.
And I could do the hearing test. Oh, here we go. I've got the scoop here. It's coming out. And so I did that on how do you do view more data? Oh, hearing test results. I did that on the 26th of December.
Wow.
Okay. So I did a hearing test in December, and I thought, so it's going to come in January. It's mid-March, and it's only just dropped.
Yeah,
now, it turns out, because I said to Apple, it's cool, I can demonstrate it because it's already out in the beta. And she goes, no, your device has been in America. And so that's why it's allowing the test.
What?
So essentially, if you went to America, your device kind of
becomes American.
Sucked in the ability to do this. Anyway, long story short, by the time you listen to this, your phone has had an update, or an update is available to the iOS, which will also indirectly update the AirPods Pro 2. This is a specific feature of AirPods Pro 2, not the AirPods Pro.
Which have been out for what, a year and a half, 2 years?
About 18 months. The AirPods Pro 2 are $399. They have the H2 chip and more microphones. That's essentially how they're different to the AirPods Pro. The AirPods 4 and the ones that were announced last year are not compatible with this because even though they have the H2 chip and potentially great microphones, even noise cancelling, they don't have the silicon tip. And the silicon tip gives you that passive seal, which begins the process of noise cancellation, but also then blocks out external noise. It's an unbelievable feature because we are talking medically validated hearing tests.
Clinical grade.
Clinical grade hearing aids. Okay?
Yes.
So let's talk about the two things. Hearing test.
Hearing tests, yes.
You've done one of these. We'll talk about it in the private.
Yeah.
A real one.
I have done. I've done one. You mean in
at an audiologist?
Yeah, many years ago.
Didn't you say you did one this week?
No. I had I had a heart check.
I thought you said you did a hearing test.
No, I did a hearing test.
I need my hearing check because I'm sure you said that earlier.
I did a hearing test with these.
We were talking about this earlier, and I said, but you can upload your results to the Apple.
No, you miss it. I said I did a hearing test this morning. I told you this morning.
On that.
Yeah. Did you hear what I said? Get it?
I wasn't listening.
Yeah, it's one thing to hear, the other thing to listen.
Yeah.
As I've been told. But no, I was the. I've done it. I remember doing a hearing test years ago.
Right.
And you're in like a soundproof booth, and you got a little thing, and you got a button, and you press it. So.
It's exactly the same.
This thing you do with the iPod, the AirPods hearing test, you have an iPhone or an iPad, and you listen out for a sound, and it plays it 3 times, and you just tap the screen when you hear the sound.
Yeah.
And it goes really low, and it's obviously tests the depths of your hearing. And then it gives you a score, which is the decibel hearing level, DBHL. Decibel HL. The decibel hearing level, and if you're 0 to 25... You're 0 to no hearing loss.
Yep.
And then obviously then it degrades if you're up in the 60s, then you've got severe hearing loss. But and I read, did you see the study that they linked to? Because not only did they get the TGA approval, but then they also did the lab tests and compared it to.
Oh no, yeah,
they validated it.
Part of the approval process is obviously comparing it to a standard pure tone audiology test. I think it's called, or something like that. And, Apple did a hearing health study back in 2019, and they've continued that. So they've been working on this for years, right? And the World Health Organization data is phenomenal. 1.5 billion people in the world suffer some form of hearing loss. 1 in 6 Australians suffer some form of hearing loss.
And they don't know it.
And
haven't been checked.
I did an interview with a couple of Apple execs. One of them is a doctor. He's a physician. So Dr. Rajiv Kumar, right? Yep. And I said to him, look, here's the thing. I think that the reason people my age are not wearing hearing aids is because it's a stigma. I don't want to wear a hearing aid. I don't want to admit that my hearing's bad. Yeah. He said to me, and this is a quote, he said, in the Apple hearing study, 10% of participants had a hearing loss and knew it. Yeah. 75% of them never went on to use a hearing aid. Right. And the reasons were cost, access, and certainly stigma. Yeah. So
although the new
that's remarkable.
Yeah, it is remarkable, and I can relate to this. Like, I don't wear hearing aids. My mother has hearing aids, right? And she's only she's in her 80s. She only started wearing them a year and a half ago.
Yes, but cost, remember, is another factor he mentions.
We're talking like
thousands of dollars.
$12,000.
Yeah, you can get them for $4,000, but if you want the super discreet ones.
And these like sit in the back of your ear. There's like skin-coloured cable, and you couldn't tell just looking at you whether you got them on or not. So the stigma around wearing hearing aids is certainly, I think, not as big as it is.
No,
before.
I think it's massive. It's massive. I wouldn't want something hanging on the back of my ear and going into my ear.
But you can hardly see it.
Yes, but you can see it though.
Yeah. Well,
I'm telling you, the stigma is an issue.
Oh, for sure. No, I agree. But I'm just saying they're a lot more discreet than they used to be.
So the fact that you can now take a test at home, sit as long as you're in a reasonably quiet room, and it tests that. And if it's too loud, I was doing it. I was doing it while I was recording a video, and it said, "I'll pause the test now because it's too loud," which is basically me talking, right? So it knew that there was noise, so it would stop.
Couldn't help himself.
You've done the test, you get a result, and let's be clear: if you have an extreme high hearing loss, AirPods are not the solution for you. You can then take the test. You can export the data, mild to moderate. Yes, you can export the data and take it to an audiologist and talk about hearing loss. Right.
So it's valid. Like the result is valid.
100% valid.
They'll say that it's okay. This is recognised.
But if you go to a hearing centre at the shopping centre and they say, "Look, you got mild hearing loss," get a printout. You can scan the printout, import it into your health app, and then use that data to
adjust your AirPods.
To adjust the AirPods. Now,
as a hearing aid.
Here's what's mind-blowing to me. Yeah. You need some form of hearing aid. Mild to moderate, let's say. Yeah. And you go, right, make it happen. It reprofiles the AirPods so that you can still hear music better and all that stuff, but most importantly, you can hear conversation and things differently. Yeah. That profile is in the AirPods, not in your phone. If you pair those AirPods with an Android phone, you've still got the profile.
Really? Wow.
They are still working as a hearing aid.
Even
that's
though they're
phenomenal.
Not paired to an iPhone.
That's phenomenal.
That's surprising.
The profile is
in the
AirPod.
In the
you don't need you don't have to have your phone with you. You can just go for a walk and wear the AirPods, and the profile will still be working.
Oh, that makes sense. But if you
pair them to a Windows laptop, you'll still hear the Zoom call, and your hearing aid.
I'm just thinking it needs to be paired to something to listen to it though. Oh no, but if it's so when you say to use as a hearing aid, doesn't be paired to anything.
No,
they're just a hearing aid.
That's correct.
But if you want to listen to stuff on your phone,
you want to listen to music,
of course,
and then you also use them as a hearing aid.
Because I know a hearing aid, you can actually link it to your phone, so you get the calls come into your hearing aids just like they would if you're wearing AirPods.
Well, if you have mild to moderate hearing loss, you would be best served to use the AirPods to answer calls because they will be enhanced to ensure that you can hear them. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And so I think for the
$300, $399. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus, you might already own them. Yeah. These things. I said to someone this morning at Channel 9, I said, listen, because a lot of people said this is so cool, and I went, and let's be honest, I'm not here to tell you about a product that costs $1,200 and is brand new.
$400.
It's a $400 product that people already own.
Yeah, a lot of people own. And I think too, you were talking about stigma before. Like the stigma would be, so say, mate, if a doctor turned around and told me, Steve, you need hearing aids, I'd say, okay, I'm 57. Okay, I'll wear a hearing aid. But if you're 20 or 25, they're going to go, oh, really?
Mate, I'm
imagine,
48.
So imagine knowing you could walk around with a pair of these.
I'm
these
48. If that hearing test came back and said you had mild to moderate, I'd be like, I'm wearing AirPods a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to pay. Hey, mate, I've already had the drama of getting glasses and teeth, and I'm like, I'm done. Give me another 10 years and I'll start properly going downhill.
Yeah. So no, I think if you are that young and don't want to, well, A, don't want to be seen wearing a hearing aid, and B, can't afford it, then.
So the other thing
AirPods.
that I learned, and you would have,
and people
had
just
this
be
as well.
assuming you're listening to music.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what they said. He said, this doctor said to me, people don't need to know that you're wearing them as a hearing aid. They could just think you listen to music or podcasts. No problems at all. Yeah. But the other staggering thing for me was that the issues that hearing loss creates are social isolation, depression, and an increased risk of dementia.
Yeah.
Hearing loss is the largest modifiable risk factor of dementia.
Really?
And that means that, obviously there's a lot of risk factors, but it's the one that you could target most. So, Stephen, you're in your late 50s. You're many years away from even worrying about dementia. Yeah. But if you had any hearing loss and you ignore it now, you are potentially increasing your risk of dementia.
Risk of getting it. Understandable.
So don't fight hearing loss.
No.
Because it's going to increase your risk of dementia.
You know what? I think there's a lot of people, myself included, who never knew that before this week, and there'd be maybe some people who, in their family, one of their parents, grandparents may have dementia.
Yeah.
You've got to wonder if it could have been.
Yeah,
if that's one thing you can do to reduce the risk. Then
could have been situation. Yeah. But right now, if you've got someone who's nowhere near showing signs of dementia, but is potentially showing signs of hearing loss, address it.
But
address it now.
My question is, I know a hearing aid can be used anywhere, and hearing aids, they come in their own charging case and everything. They're quite sophisticated.
Yeah.
I think, can you wear, if you're going to use your AirPods as a hearing aid, then are they suitable to, say, wear in your car or when you're driving? Because, hearing when you're driving is very important. So you want to be able to hear sirens and people around you, right?
Yeah.
So is it okay to wear them while you're driving?
I believe so.
So because they're a hearing aid.
Yeah.
So medically recognised. So if you got pulled over and they go, mate, you're wearing AirPods.
Well, it's not illegal to wear headphones in a car.
Okay.
So they can't pull you over for
It's
that.
not?
No.
Okay. So I'm just saying, is it...
It's stupid.
You can do it.
Stupid.
You can do it. Yeah. Because these are they're noise cancelling. They've got noise cancelling capabilities, but in the case of wearing it as a hearing aid, then obviously it's the opposite of noise cancelling.
It basically enhances the transparency mode. It's a combination of both. It's using the technology for that.
I can remember the transparency mode actually ups the volume of what you're hearing around you.
Yeah.
So the technology existed all the time. They've just now had it clinically graded and approved.
And also, not only does it up it, but it ups it with this. Once you enable the hearing aid feature, should you need it, it ups it based on your own profile. You can't just go and say, I want this to work as a hearing aid. You need to scan, you need to do the hearing test, or you need to scan an existing hearing test, because then it works out how to adjust the AirPod based on your personal need. Because your hearing loss, even though mild, and mine might be mild, they might be vastly different frequencies that we're missing.
Yeah.
And so it adjusts it based on those things.
Yeah, right. And so when, say I decide, right, I'm going to use this as my hearing aid.
Yep.
So that'll adjust the way I hear music, podcasts, everything I listen to. Isn't it ironic that, mate, I'm of the generation who spent years just bashing our ears with Walkmans.
Yeah.
Right? Headphones on the bus or whatever. And now you got to think of today as well, right, where years ago, half the time you'd listen to your music, you'd have a stereo and you listen to music, right? You think of young people today listening to music, they're all on headphones.
Yeah.
How often has any of your children sat in front of a speaker to listen to music? No. They're just all through their headphones, right?
Very rare.
You think about, and the similar things happen with sight. A lot of more younger people are having needing glasses, having issues.
Why do you think
at
that
a
is?
younger,
Screens?
Well, screens are out here, right?
Yeah.
So would that be the case where in future, I know there's a lot of earphones that limit volume, and there's kids' headphones as well.
Yeah.
But isn't it ironic that the product that could potentially
solve
have
the
led
problem.
to your hearing loss is now going to be what's going to save you?
Well, this was the conversation in our family group chat this morning. My wife, I 10,000% think you have hearing loss. And if you really wanted to test the Apple headsets, you should, go get your hearing checked by a professional, then compare. And if you don't have hearing loss, that means you are 10,000% ignoring us. So I sent her a screenshot of my medically certified hearing test. And she said, medically certified by who? Tim Cook? And I said, the Therapeutic Goods Administration, Australian government health body.
Get that into you.
And she said, well, why do you constantly cup your ear? Because you can't hear or ignore me. And
what do? You do this?
Yeah, I do what? And then this is the worst part, because in our family, right, it works this way.
That's got to be the thumbnail. We'll do these ones.
Yeah, okay. In our family, it works this way. If there's a vote going down, Victoria supports Amanda.
Oh,
Harry supports me.
Really?
Jackson, Switzerland could go either way.
So there's factions.
He's the one that's lobbying
family.
with, right?
There's factions.
So this was gutting.
So he's a floater.
Yeah.
Jackson,
Switzerland. He could go either way, right? So this is what's gutting me this morning. After Amanda says, "Why do you constantly cup your ear?" Then she goes, in quotes, "Oh no, he ignores you, Harrison, 8:11 a.m."
Wow.
So they're having a conversation while I'm at the Today Show.
Under the bus.
Going, he must be ignoring, and Harry goes, "Yeah, he's ignoring you."
Oh, wow.
Little fella's thrown me under the bus.
Wow. Now, I had, Joe's accused me. Joe says to me, right, I'll be here. I'll give you some info here.
Yeah.
Joe says to me, I talk loud. Right? I'm a loud talker, right? I don't know. I've just got a good pair of lungs. She says, that's because you're deaf. She said, I say, Dr. Joe, I call it, Dr. Joe, reckons I talk loud because I'm deaf. So I did.
It could be because you're trying to get a word in.
Maybe, but I'm a loud talker.
Right.
And her theory is that because I'm not hearing, because have you ever worn headphones? You're trying to talk to someone and you're talking loud, right?
Yeah.
She reckons that's me
all the time.
Normal.
Yeah.
And I did the hearing test and I sent it to her. I said, see,
mate,
my hearing's good.
Thing is, I'm a husband. I'm never going to win these arguments. I don't remember what it was last night, but something happened. I walked in, I said something, and then I did something else, and I went, well, she'll answer me at some point. And then she goes, "What?" I said something. She goes, "You didn't ask me that." I went, "Look, I did." And she goes, "You might have asked it in your head." And I went, "No, definitely said it out loud, but I'm just going to cop that one."
You weren't listening. Yeah.
Yeah. It happens to all of us, but you can't admit that.
It's it. Yeah, I know.
Can't win that argument. Where was on what show did we give that advice earlier?
What's that?
Isn't it a movie show or something? We gave some marital advice.
EV show.
No, it wasn't, was it?
It was an EV show, yeah.
The
guy, I remember he bought a car for his wife. He convinced his wife to...
No, there was another mention of us having... Because I said we've got 50 years of marriage.
Oh, sorry, no, he's in the movie show. In the movie podcast. There was, I think, an upcoming show. An upcoming movie that's going to be in a few weeks' time.
Okay, good. Anyway, we're here to give you marriage advice. Now, the other news from Apple this week and today, or yesterday, as you're listening, WWDC gets a date, and it is a week later than I expected.
Yeah, we did. It was on last week's show that we speculated it was going to be. We should go back to the tape and sort of. I think it's going to be a little.
I think it'll be June the 2nd.
No,
that wasn't really a tape. That was just me pretending.
I think I said that. I think early. It's too early in June for it to be that week.
Now you're claiming a victory again, are you? Good on you.
Just say it.
I'm just annoyed because I booked cars from the 9th.
Oh, you did too.
Yeah, so
you thought we'd be back.
Push them all back a bit.
Damn.
Or do them for a week. I don't know.
I was wrong. So look, it's June 9 in America, which is June 10 in Australia.
Yeah.
So we're going to WWDC, Worldwide Developers Conference, still an online event. Remember, before COVID, it was a big all-in.
If you're listening or watching this, can you get in touch if this is the first time you've heard us talk about WWDC? Because other people, this is their 15th time.
Well, I just put it out there, mate.
No. I think it's fascinating, though, isn't it? Because
WW, everyone calls it WW.
It's like a known thing. Our audience would absolutely know what WW is, which is awesome. But if you knew, you're right. It's fascinating because they're still doing it as an online only event.
Since COVID, it was online. So they thought before. Remember, we used to go to San Jose, big in person.
Do you know the way to San
Jose? We did a big in person keynote at the the McEnany.
And there'd be McInerney Convention Centre, there'd be thousands and thousands of developers.
And to go there, you'd have to win a lottery to get a ticket, right? So you'd pay for it.
But it was buzzing because the developers would sit at tables with each other and code.
Yeah,
they'd go into rooms and learn from engineers. And then they went, why don't we make these live streamed individual sessions? Because I think what we cover often is the WW keynote. So there's a keynote on the Monday over there, so Tuesday morning our time. That's where there's a big announcement. They talk about iOS 19.
Craig Federighi gets on stage and talks about stuff.
That all happens, and then we report on that. And then we get to get some briefings on a few different specifics of that, right? But while we're doing all those briefings, back in the day, thousands of people would be in rooms doing these engineering conversations. Now you sign up and you do these online. So you're basically doing these online classes because they essentially free all their engineers. So the engineers that work on maps, they spend days talking with Apple developers around the world about how to better use Maps API and different things like that.
Yeah. And so since COVID, it went fully online and stayed online, but there is still an in-person component where there's a watch party. They have people watch the keynote. Students and developers can actually apply to be in person as well, to have that one-on-one interaction as well. And it's where we learn about the new OSs for iPad, iPhone, Mac, Apple TV, Apple Watch, Vision OS. Every device they make has its own OS. We learn about the new features. And the developers say, "Oh, that's handy. I'm going to include that in. I can make my app do this."
Yes.
So,
like a good example is live activities, which are now on Android as well.
Yeah.
You order an Uber and it shows you on the lock screen where it's coming. That was an announcement several years ago. I think iOS 16 or 17, and it was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And now it's so cool with flights and Uber and all these different things.
Charging my car. If I look at my car charging, I can look at a glance at my charge level.
It's so cool, right? Yeah. That's something.
United Airlines do it really well.
Even my app developer goes, "What? We should use a live activity." I'm like, "Mate, there's nothing live happening on EF10. What are you doing, bro? I mean, calm down."
Trying to get more money out of you, mate.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's a good point.
Trying to upsell you.
Nah, he's good. And so we're going to hear about iOS 19, and there is strong rumours it's going to get a new look, a very different look.
Very strong rumours, biggest design change for several years. So we've had the same kind of look. And the word is that, have you heard the same rumour that it might look like
circle
the
icons.
Vision OS sort of circle icons and more glassy sort of effects on menus and stuff, which is Vision Pro, isn't it? Is this a ploy for Apple to sort of subconsciously make more people interested in the Vision Pro?
No, I think it's about unifying what they've created in that ecosystem, which is fine. And also, they you got to change things up. You got to make things different.
I agree.
But if they do change the design, it will annoy people because people hate change. They always do.
Yeah. Unless, look, if it's done right, if it's a nice design, I think, and it'll apply across iPad OS, iPhone, Mac OS.
Yeah.
Because I think they need to have that uniformity, don't you reckon?
100%.
It needs to look the same. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, we'll hear about iOS 19 and all the other ones. What do they say and do to address the raging concerns about Apple Intelligence and the lack of Siri personalization?
Well,
because Apple Intelligence was launched 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Siri personalization was a big part of that, to say that it would know more about you and be able to dig into your personal details in a very secure way. And none of that exists on Siri right now. Yeah. So what's happening?
I don't know if you've read the same.
Are they sacking people yet?
Well, I've heard rumours.
We've all read Mark Gurman.
Well, no, not Mark Gurman. Other people
are just rewriting Mark Gurman's rumours.
Or maybe, but no, I've heard other independent sites and industry people discussing the fact that there is people being let out. There's pressure on them to. There was one column, I can't remember who wrote it. It wasn't Mark Gurman. Someone wrote a really long column about how Apple, if they ever said they'd do something, they did it. And apart from a couple of missteps, like remember the dual charging.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. Yeah,
they normally nail it.
Yeah,
and in this case, they've spoken about it but haven't delivered.
Yeah.
And it's been, does this, and pre-Dub last year, you recall, you and I were wondering, you could say critical, that Apple, their silence was deafening on AI.
100%.
Nothing happening.
100%.
And then once Dub came, obviously it was Apple Intelligence, all Apple Intelligence all day.
Yep.
And it took them months to get that to us as well from then. But the whole one of the clubs in the bag was Siri, and it being able to know everything you do and where you're going to go and your calendar and all this. And that was a big deal. And everyone's still thinking...
Still nothing.
What's happening?
So do they address that at WW?
Have to.
They have to.
Have to. Well,
But
I
does
think
Tim
I
Cook
asked
address
you-
it, or does Craig Federighi just make a joke about
I
it?
think Craig Federighi makes a joke about it. But remember, I asked you last week whether it would be a good idea for them to rush it out. If they're close to it,
Yeah.
would you release it now before Dub?
Yes,
What's it
if
now?
you're close.
April, May, June. You've got 3 months.
Yes.
Would that be foolish for them to say, right, well, it's nearly finished, let's go. Put it out.
Because then you can just have Craig go, good things come to those who wait. But
Maybe.
here's what else is
Yeah.
coming, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Bottom line is, though, what we talked about before last Dub was how Siri was a disappointment in the voice space.
The voice assistant.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I've got to
Yeah.
tell you, Google seems to be waning here as well. And we talked
Yeah.
about how there's too many different options.
Isn't
Gemini and Google.
now
What,
the new
like,
king? Or?
what's the system I'm using first at home?
Yeah.
Like what Alexa is just doing so well. Like,
I'm-
and it's going to
I'm
get
all
better,
Alexa.
right?
I'm all in on Alexa. In my place.
I just think that Apple, and remember, we haven't heard anything about HomePod for a long time.
Well, that's the other rumor that there's
screen
a
HomePod,
HomePod,
yeah.
with a screen on it. So, I've been here in that room for 3 years.
I was going to say, yeah.
So, is that the solution? Is it going to be a fact of, because that's one way Apple can get around this little difficulty, is to say, oh, look at this new product over here,
Yeah.
and say, oh, it's going to be, and everyone go, oh, that's great.
Well, they need a headline that isn't they've failed on this, or they've under-delivered on this.
They've
Because
and
you've got to remember,
word
we
is,
come out of
yeah.
these events with 2 or 3 key things that we, when we get asked, we talk about.
Yeah.
So they need 1 or 2 things that push
And
push
the
others
example
down.
of that is what we spoke about earlier. Last year's Dub was all about the hearing tests and hearing aid, and we were thinking, whoa,
Apple Intelligence.
Apple Watch being able to tell if you got sleep apnea, and Apple Intelligence. So
Which
they
still
were the
hasn't
big
come out
takeaways.
in Australia.
Still the watch, really. So there's another one, right? And
But that's a
but in
TGA
Australia,
thing.
though. It's
That's
in
a
Australia.
TGA thing.
Yeah, well, that's out of their hands. So Siri Intelligence, they don't have to get approval for that,
No.
don't they? So it's it's look, you put pressure on yourself when you say you're going to do something. When you announce something with the spirit that Apple does, and you think, wow, you get everyone excited about it, and you don't deliver it, then that's going to be an issue. But
Fascinating.
Apple normally work it out, don't they? They normally get there. They normally think,
get
oh,
there.
wow. And I remember you and I sitting together at Dub and thinking, wow, Apple Intelligence, that's pretty impressive. We were thinking, wow,
Yeah.
they've delivered here. So will they do it again?
Don't know. Anyway, Dub kicks off on the 9th. It'll be the 10th of June, Australian time.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll get invited. Hopefully we'll be there. We'll find that out probably closer to the date. The other thing that's announced and is now available as of today is a little update to Apple Maps. Now, Apple Maps, I think, has come a massive way since the early days of criticism. And if you haven't tried it, you should give it a whirl. Honestly, in CarPlay, it is phenomenal. It's beautiful.
I've got to say,
Driving across the Harbour Bridge
is the best.
is beautiful.
I've
Okay,
used
we're talking about
Android
maps,
Auto.
not CarPlay. Move on from your little
CarPlay's
gripe.
really good.
It's excellent. We know.
No, but what we're about to talk about is going to be in CarPlay as well.
Yeah, but okay. Use CarPlay for maps, Apple Maps, because it's graphically so much better than all the others, right?
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of improvements over time, but they've introduced some really interesting stuff, which is all around their values as a company. Now, this is not something you're going to use every day, I'll be honest with you, but it just shows the level of effort and detail they put into something when it really aligns with how they operate. Now, they are big on community support, cultural things, environment things. So what they've done is they've partnered with a couple of Indigenous organisations in terms of the world of mapping. Plus, they've partnered and they've just showcased a few of their community grants programs, which they don't talk about how much money or what they do, but, they would provide technology as well as money to a bunch of Indigenous community organisations across Australia. And that's to be congratulated. Any work they're doing in that space is good. But from now, if you open up Apple Maps, you'll see these new, there's 2 core things you'll see. If you zoom out, you'll see these big areas on the map, which are like purple boxes, which highlight traditional lands, is what it's called.
Yeah.
So
the colour's plum.
where there's
Plum colour.
it's purple. where there's some sort of title or other claim to that land, and it's approved and it's government approved. That's all now registered, so you can really see that. Now, to be clear, this already exists in the American version of Apple Maps. You can see all the Indian
Canadian.
reservations and things like that. It's not a new thing. And that's very interesting because I'll be honest, I zoomed out and went, I had no idea that all existed. And awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
But then the other one is what they call traditional ownership. Now that relates to what we would be most familiar with is an acknowledgement to country. You know, I'm standing on the Gadigal land of the Eora Nation, whatever it might be.
Yep.
They are now placing those traditional ownerships on the map. Now, to be clear, there is no defined boundaries for those countries, those areas. So there is no line. You can't see if this house is in that traditional country and this is not. It's just like a broad, so if you look at Sydney, you get to a certain point of zoom and you can see this Eora Nation label, which is in plum. Yeah. The words are in the different colour. And then you zoom in further, it disappears because it's too much detail to include that. Yeah. It's really just, and I think it's Charles Prowse, the guy that was there, Indigenous elder that was there.
His first name,
He made a very simple point. He said, look, this is about being acknowledged that we exist. Yep. And I went, I'm all for it. Bring it on. I want everyone to. I want my kids to be able to zoom in and go, I know what that is. I know what that means. I think there's a lot more work to be done. I think it could be a whole lot more done. But it's a great step, and
taken a while,
Apple's done it before Google.
Yeah, it's taken a while to get. There's a lot of work to get this done, not only in Australia but around the world. Yeah, I think it's really educational to learn to see that Melbourne can be called something else. Like the names that have been there.
Well, Qantas has started doing that on departure boards and things.
So you can see. So it might say
Fraser Island's been renamed, isn't it? Kagari.
I'm trying to look up the name of Melbourne, Brisbane.
Melbourne is Nama, I think.
Yeah, so you can that is actually on the map. You'll see Melbourne and then / was it Nama?
I don't think you will. No.
And zoomed out.
If you search for the Indigenous name, it will bring you to Melbourne,
and there'll be a little Aboriginal flag next to
that
search
listing. But if you zoom in, and Drew explained it to me from the Apple product team that Brisbane, for example, has not been renamed, and so they're not showing that.
Yeah.
That's why they don't show it. Whereas Fraser Island has been renamed.
Yes, I know.
So one of the things they'll show though is in places where it's accepted, like Sydney Cove. Okay, in the map it'll say Sydney Cove / and the Indigenous name.
Yeah.
But city names, they're not changing directly, but they're making them available in search. Now, the Sydney Cove thing and stuff like that, it basically looks like the Gulf of Mexico / Gulf of America, Trump did. But look, there's a lot of work being done to incorporate all the knowledge and the names and the various iterations of the Indigenous names and words and language.
When you type,
so that when you search,
it'll come up in the search. Yeah, and the search is going to be expanded too. They're sort of pretty box, like little short descriptions, but Apple says there's a lot more work to put in it. I think in some parts, even in some parts of the US, they've actually got the native language of the area that is in that description as well. So, so you can read it in the native language as well.
Look, I'm going to say what I said to you off air. I think that the Indigenous community in Australia should be proud of this acknowledgement, and it's fantastic.
It's
but as a middle-aged white man, as we often say, my challenge is if I'm invited to speak somewhere, I want to give the acknowledgement to country with the information. It's very hard to find that information. You can't pinpoint that on the map.
You can't find the exact name.
I think that it would be amazing if the Indigenous community could come up with some borders. I know it's a horrible thing to say, but essentially define it somehow so that you could search for an address and I go, I'm going to West League Club and I'm going to do a conference. I want to acknowledge country.
Acknowledge the local.
Just tell me what it is.
Just say traditional owners.
Yeah. Now, because I asked the question and he said, look, you need to contact the traditional owners. I'm like, mate, what am I, ringing them on my way there?
Got their number?
I'm trying to make it truly accessible. And I think that would change things. If you could type an address and look, it's hard. And I think the government should fund this. I'm saying it should be made possible that you can search for an address and it may give you a grey area. It may say, you're on the land of the Gadigal people in the Eora Nation and you're bordering this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Could it be, though, that Apple's their very involvement in this, could maybe
spur that along?
Rolling?
Maybe.
Could it be that...
And maybe this is a little toe in the water to find out whether some parts of the Indigenous community are not happy with the way this is done. I can't believe that would be the case.
Is it almost like make your claim? Like
it's
if
a
you
tough...
want to show it on... No, show it on the map.
I know.
If you want to tell us, help us work it out...
We're creating a whole new world of problems.
No, but I mean, if like you said, if it makes it easier for other people, non-Indigenous people to learn,
Well,
Isn't
what
that
I
the goal,
took out,
though?
what I took out was that if you're an Indigenous member of the community and you have some sort of claim, as you say, over the way this area, like my suburb or my street,
well,
should
if
be
you- no,
should
not-
be referred.
Claim's not the right word.
I know.
Knowledge. Is what
We're
you have.
idiots, but
Yeah.
but what they, I believe, now have is a pathway into Apple Maps, through their different bodies
Yep.
to ensure that can be addressed in some way.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I'm hearing is Apple's listening.
Yeah.
And they're not going to listen to 10,000 emails, but if it comes through the right channels,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a chance.
Well, what was the organisation, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Society or something? There's some body they've been working with?
with the mapping, yeah.
Yeah. So that could potentially.
I feel like that's the pathway,
Yeah.
They're not going to take random
But what you
emails
said
from
is a
people.
really good idea. Imagine being able to look up. Okay, we're on this name.
Look, it may exist.
Yeah.
If it exists, please
Yeah.
tell me, because I think it's a valuable tool.
Yeah.
But I think it would be an unbelievable feature of Maps.
Yeah.
Unbelievable feature. Like, think about just the respect of going, my house, just go here, and I can respect that,
Absolutely.
I'm not
yeah.
going to make an announcement every time someone comes to my house.
You do a.
But who's to say
Yeah.
you wouldn't plant a tree and put a plaque? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's
it's like
respect.
being environmentally conscious, right?
Yeah.
People say you got to do this, you got to do that, mate. Listen, you do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do.
Yeah.
In our house, we have bins for bins for bins. Like we're
Yeah.
doing soft plastics, we're doing hard plastics, we're doing recycling.
whole bit.
Mate, I'm
Yep.
doing everything I can, and that's
Yep.
my business.
Yep.
And if I want to some way perform an acknowledgement in
Yeah.
on my land, then
Yeah.
on the land that I'm occupying, great.
Yep.
So I just think that's what's missing from
Yeah.
this is the ability to know that. As
Yeah, I agree.
a boring human who is not in any way invested in this, I think it'd be a cool thing for me to know
Well, it's such a common thing, to hear. We hear acknowledgements
all the time.
Whenever we go to some press events, they say, "Oh, we're meeting on the Gadigal land of the Eora Nation. We respect the traditional owners of the land and pay our respects to elders, past, present, and emerging." I actually read that out. I host the Dell Technologies podcast.
Yeah.
That's on the podcast.
Yeah.
We have that
we
as well.
we recorded on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think that it's a great thing, and again, I respect the fact that the best thing I heard today was the Indigenous representation that we had in the room.
Yeah.
Just love the fact that they were being acknowledged.
Oh yeah.
As,
they're acting as advisors. They're
as
advisors.
existing in the
Yeah,
maps.
yeah,
They're
absolutely.
shown. They're being seen, which is awesome.
That is that's a great. I reckon a great step.
Yeah, it's a great step, and hopefully it leads to much more of that. And hopefully Google now looks at it and go, well, we're going to have to do the same
We're
thing.
going to do this.
Well, I zoomed out of Google Maps in America, and they
Yeah.
have the
They
the,
do in the US.
the US reservations
Maybe they
and
just
stuff. So,
copied apples.
well, maybe they did that first. We don't know, but they certainly don't have it in Australia.
Yeah, right.
Oh, actually, I should check. Don't think so.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's Australian
Google
first.
be across that, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
They'd
I
be
think they
across
would
that.
be.
Yeah, if they're not now, they will be.
Two Blokes Talking Tech. Lots of stuff coming from Apple.
Everything about tech you never wanted to know. This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
Two Blokes Talking Tech is proudly supported by Arlo, and guess what? Arlo is having. They've got up to 30% off selected cameras. They've got their what they call their fire detection sale. Get it? Fire detection.
I
That's
get
one
it.
of their features.
I hear it.
So basically, the Pro range, Ultra, all the way down to the Essentials, even the doorbells and the solar panels, you can save up to 30% on selected cameras and doorbells. So if you are in the market to start your security camera journey, or you want to add to your system, you can log into arlo.com and check all of those specials out. Like, I'll give you an example. Up to 29% off the Arlo Pro camera. It's down under $200, the Arlo Pro. And if you want to buy the 4-pack of the Arlo Pro, down from $929, now under $600, $599. That is a 36% saving. And even if you want to buy a doorbell is now the Video Doorbell 2K, $99. That's 57% saving. That's more than half. I thought they only said up to 30% off selected cameras. I'm finding more here. So if you're in the market, you want to get started, this is a good way to do it. Arlo's website also has a bundle and save option. So check out where you're going to save most money. If you spend over a certain amount, you get 10% off, 20%, and so on if you spend more.
Be smart.
So check out their website. You can dead set find a bargain if you are starting or want to add to your system. Arlo.com is the place to go.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
I'm making a bold claim. A
Bold
bold
claim.
Bold claim. This is huge.
What's happened?
Google has announced the Pixel 9a.
Ah,
Okay.
I saw that. So
We have reached-
You wrote about it on EFTM, did you?
It's been written on EFTM.
Yep. And Tech Guide.
Not me. Daniel wrote
I'm
it.
just saying it's been written about.
Oh, no, you just said you, and I'm like,
No,
I
no, I
mean-
said EFTM, but your website.
Yeah, the publication.
One of
covered it.
Trevor's many staff members.
They're freelancers. They're just great supporters of the show.
Supporters of your site.
I looked at this and I went, well, that's an iPhone.
Exactly what I said.
So my bold claim is this. Have we reached peak smartphone? Honestly.
I just ripped out my earphone, but I agree
Well done.
with you. Yes, I do agree.
Honestly, like when
What can
Apple,
you
so
do?
iPhone 12 went back from the curved rounded edge
to
to
flat.
the square flat edges, and that same design philosophy has essentially existed now on 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
Yeah.
And there's no sense, even from the basic photos we've seen, that the 17 is going to change, right?
Well, the 7 is going to have allegedly a wider.
Yeah,
the
forget.
camera,
I'm just
camera bump is
just
gonna go
talking about
across.
the outside of the phone,
actual shape
the
of the
edge of the phone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, mate, what can you do?
Samsung Galaxy S20, 3
Yeah.
with the basic and
Flat edges.
basic models, not the Ultra.
Yeah.
Flat edges, right?
Yeah.
This year, the Ultra, flat edges.
Flat edges, yeah. It's flat edges.
Google Pixel 9a, flat edges,
Flat edges.
mate. If
Looks
you
like an iPhone.
put these things in a lineup,
Yeah.
people would struggle to guess which ones they are.
Yeah.
Now, all phones are dramatically identifiable by their camera array.
Yeah.
That's essentially how a phone gets identified. You can kind of see a pixel because it goes little horizontal.
Yeah.
Samsung has their vertical array. Apple's with
Yeah.
the square. Apple, rumours are they're going to go wider on that this year.
Wider on the bump, but not the actual camera
Yeah,
array.
weird, right?
It's going to just look, yeah.
And mate, I just has it happened?
Have we reached
Have we hit
saturation
there?
point?
Like, are they trying to get to the point where we can use one case on any phone? I mean, that's where we're at.
The case makers they're unionising, maybe.
Yeah.
But look, is it become? It's like the car, right? The car design is basically the same: 4 wheels, 4 doors.
Yeah, but cars.
Cars are
there are
cars,
some
right?
cars that look the same, but no, mate. There's no
Well,
two
I know-
EV9s. That
No,
thing out the front, you'll
well,
drive home. The
yeah.
decal looks a little like a Model Y.
I understand, but I know that a car is a lot bigger than a phone, right? So there's a lot more room to embellish and do stuff on it.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
it is like I think the challenge is to come up with a design that's big enough, but still thin enough and light enough and long enough battery. So it's the constant engineering design tug of war here, right?
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is we've reached a point now where the engineers and the designers can agree is the best option for your device.
It may also, we should be clear, it may also be the optimal performance for the antenna arrays, which normally live around the outside
Yes.
of the thing.
True as well.
Could that be possible too?
I think so as well. But like, is it like? Can you imagine in 20 years' time, or do you reckon we'll still be carrying devices around? Do you reckon in 20 years'
20
time
years.
will it be something that we just we pop it in our ear, and if we hang on, I'm getting a call. Yeah, hi mate, I'll be there soon. And if you'll have this other little gadget that'll give you this little screen in front of you when you need it. Like, is that where we're heading? Like, what's the next thing? Like, and we're going to talk folding phones in a second, right? But is that the next evolution where we're going to go folding?
Well,
sliding. Is that the next evolution?
Let's get to that in a second. Let's address the first question, right? I remember years ago, couple of years, people say, what's the next big thing? How's it going to change in 5 or 10 years? If you had to put a crystal ball on, excuse me, if I had to crystal ball, I do believe that the watch will be able to be the core, like, the connectivity,
Yep.
and then it's your choice as to how you then screen. So is it a laptop? Is it a phone?
Yeah.
Is it a tablet? In different environments,
Yeah.
different circumstances, different use cases. So I
Is it a hologram?
kind of still believe that, right? Is
Yeah.
it possible that when we go with these thin phones, Samsung, Apple, rumors, whatever, is that going to be potentially the future? Is it gets even thinner because it doesn't have any of the guts in it because it's just
It's like cloud
it's
computing.
like a proprietary, technology between the watch is how it gets connected and off it goes from there.
Yep.
And like Xbox and PlayStation cloud
it's all-
gaming,
it's all in the
it's
cloud.
all in the cloud.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that's possible, but I don't feel it happening. There's no trend toward it yet.
Yeah, I know.
But apart from peak smartphone design, we only have the foldable.
Yeah.
It's the only interesting thing we have.
Who was the company? Was it TCL had the one that would look like a scroll? Remember this?
Xiaomi had one as well. TCL
TCL had
Oppo, they've all done it. Yeah,
they've all had a prototype. Where
well, we've got Lenovo and others having laptops that extend and get bigger too.
Yeah. So there's your challenge, right? We still use these devices for our entertainment, to watch stuff, use our apps, do all of that. So you still need that screen real estate. Whether it's how you house it and store it and carry it around, they're the factors that will maybe have influence on the design.
Yeah.
Now, personally, I love a big screen. I want a big screen in my pocket. I could prefer a smaller screen.
I much prefer a smaller screen.
And
bring back the mini.
Yeah. I had an email the other day from a guy saying, look, is there an Android phone that I can fit in my top pocket? He wants a small Android phone. And I think apart from remember the Zen phone, the Asus Zen phone, the small one?
Oh, yeah.
It had like a 5.9-inch screen. Any screen under 6 sounds tiny now. You can't get them. Like it's all 6.3 is the S23 and what's the 6.1 with the iPhone.
6.1, yeah.
So that seems to be the new start.
I mean, yeah, I think it's people bag like when the iPhone 17 comes out, people are going to go, it's the same again.
Same one,
mate. So is the Samsung, same as last year.
Yeah,
the Ultra was a dramatic change, which was awesome. But
that was change. Yeah.
Next year, it'll be the same.
But you know what they'll do in a few years' time? They'll go back to the curved edges.
You reckon?
Of course they will. It's different. They're going to go different. It's going to be. This is a new thinner curved edges. You know what? It's like fashion. You know, things go in and out of fashion. The fashion now is flat edges.
Yeah.
Right? Just like do you remember when iPhone was in its infancy, it was all 3D app icons and it was all bubbly, right? Then they flattened that out. So the fashion was flat. So design is the same physical design as well as app design, icon design. It's just going through a phase. We're in the flat edge phase.
Yeah.
Will we go back to a curve phase? For sure. And then everyone else will follow suit in time. So it's like trends and fashions. They'll all change.
Well, let's talk foldables, right? Because they're the only thing. They're the only hope we've got of something new in the world, right?
Yeah.
So there's we published this week at EFTM. There's some leaked or rumored Motorola Razr 60 Ultra.
You're a fan of the Razr, right? You
love
the
it.
Razr. Yeah.
Great phone. I think it's better than the Samsung. Because of the full screen front.
Yep.
And it essentially looks like they're going to dramatically improve the center display, so to improve the resolution.
So
and
still a flip phone.
Kind of still a flip. Flip, absolutely.
They haven't got a book for like a fold type phone, have they? So they've got a flip phone.
No, flip phone's all they got.
Yep.
But better resolution, better battery, and probably the same camera and things. And they've already got the full screen front, which is essentially then we get into Samsung territory. That's where's that going to go this year?
Yeah,
they kind of need to step it up because I think they know that they got really little traction last year with a so-so. It's a better phone, but it's a so-so improvement, right?
I reckon the elephant in the room here is Apple.
No doubt.
The rumours are growing that and don't forget Samsung's 6 years into a folding device, right? Yeah. So the rumours are growing that Apple has got something up their sleeve, and we'll see it as soon as next year. So the rumours
next year will make it 7 and 8 years on for Samsung.
I've heard that it's going to be a flip. I've heard it's going to be like a fold. I've heard it all, and from reliable people like Mark Gurman's and those sort of people with a bit of, I don't know how they get the inside knowledge, but people are saying that the Apple screen, you know how the foldable screen, you can see the crease. Yeah. Apple
have come up with a hinge that essentially pushes the hinge out. Yeah,
no crease in
pushes
the
crease out.
And you think that makes sense to me because Apple would wait for that technology to be perfect.
Yes,
they're not going to jump in early.
As we've
for the
said,
sake of it.
There's a room somewhere at Apple. with thousands of devices they've tried. They've done it. They've done it. It's not right
for years.
Yes.
Yeah. And they'll go, right, here it is. We're happy with this.
Possibly 10 years they've been working on it.
Yeah.
Possibly 5. We don't know. We'll never know.
Well, the rumour that I wrote about a few weeks ago on Tech Guide was that they'd agreed on a display supplier who was going to supply the folding displays. Right. And that was then that led to all these other rumours. So whether we see it, what does that do to the market? I think if people are going to like everything Apple does, right? When people see it, it's official.
Well, it's like 5G.
Apple fans, yeah.
When Apple did 5G, it was like,
It's
wow.
here. It's been around for years. It's like the wireless charging. Wireless charging is the funniest one.
Yeah.
Samsung
iPhone
had
8.
5 years ago, they had wireless charging, and Apple suddenly doing it. Whoa, they've invented it, right? So is the folding phone going to have the same effect? Are the customers going to take it seriously? Because
We know.
folding phones are still less than 2% of the market,
Yes.
right? Let's be real.
Yeah.
Apple get involved, it'll grow to 10% of the
Yes.
market in a year.
Instantly, yes.
It'll go straight
Because remember, Samsung's the most people they bring from Apple to Samsung is in the fold range.
folding devices, yes. So
By
there's
far.
a market. There's a market, and I've often shown folding devices to people, and you
Yeah.
have too, right? They go, "Oh, that's amazing. When has Apple got one?"
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh no, I'm an Apple. I'm an iPhone." They're not going to switch to Android,
No.
right? To get it, not many people.
Why? What do you think of Android?
It's not bad. It needs improving in some areas. I've been on Android for quite some time, and I managed to find a few little things I didn't like.
Yeah. It is what it is. It's an ecosystem thing. People
Yeah.
love.
But,
People are used to a certain
whenever
way.
I use an Android phone, I go full in. I'm earphones, watch.
Yeah.
I'm in the ecosystem.
Yep.
So
Android
I
Auto,
don't
whole
go
thing.
half.
Yeah.
I'm all in
Yeah.
if I'm doing so. Lately, I've reviewed like 5 different phones, and they've all been Android. And then I had to come back to iPhone for the 16E.
Yeah.
Then we're back to Android again. So yeah, it's been an experience. But look, I'll say what I told you off air. I love CarPlay better than Android Auto. Android Auto, you need a bit of work, mate.
Yeah, I think just
Needs a bit of work.
I just think just
CarPlay's
visually.
way better.
I think visually it's just a better
Yeah,
experience.
Way better CarPlay than just even using it. Yeah, it needs. Android Auto has got a lot of potential. So do some work.
A lot of potential. That's such a great way of saying it.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
Well,
what do you reckon? Now, would you use an folding iPhone? I would.
with a heartbeat,
Straight away.
I'm straight there.
Straight away.
I would.
Would they do a fold, you reckon? Would that kill the iPad mini?
Yeah, they'll flip. They will
You
flip.
reckon a flip first?
Flip's the way to go.
I've heard both, mate. I'd love. Imagine getting an iPhone like that, like having a screen and then you pop it open and you got an iPad. Like that would be.
No, mate. Flip
That'd be pretty
every day of the week.
So I'm hoping that Samsung are aware of these same rumours that we are about Apple sort of, making noises in this area. Do you reckon that Samsung this year, for their folding device, are going to finally give us the massive
Bring the thing that
change,
they've had ready for some time.
sort of bring out the big guns now?
There's always a risk that if it is next year for Apple, that it's not a September event, that they do what Samsung does and make it its own thing.
Maybe its own, yeah. Maybe.
It might be a March or April event, right?
Right.
So there's a risk of that. So Samsung might need to do that this year and get ahead of it.
That's true. So you reckon it could be something they spring on us early in the year?
What?
Because they're going to
I
release the
think,
17, right?
Mate.
It won't be this year. So the 17.
I'll tell you this. If Apple do a foldable, flip, whatever style phone,
Yep.
it will not carry the same nomenclature as the iPhone.
What's that?
It won't be a 16, 17, 18. It'll be
on its own.
It'll be the iPhone,
iFold or something. Yeah, something like
something
that.
like that, right?
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
just be a thing. It'll be a new product in
Right.
their world,
Yep.
and I think it'll have its own event.
I think you're right.
It'll be like, we're bringing you, we're announcing this big thing.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Is it?
Because if you bring it out with the iPhone 18,
Mate, how many windows
you
do they
take all the shine off the 18.
Maybe.
Huge problem. No one's talking about the 18.
But you got to remember one thing. It's going to be expensive.
Oh, no, absolutely.
It's going to be way expensive. So they may still bring it out with the other phones, okay? Because the other phones are going to look suddenly cheaper and more accessible than this one.
Mm.
So I think maybe they will still keep them together.
No.
And make it.
I'm calling it, and
Yeah.
I've been wrong more often than not.
No, I reckon they'll group the iPhone. It'll still be an iPhone something. iPhone, whatever.
Yeah.
Just like the thin one. Remember the thin one? Rumor is that's going to replace the 17 Plus.
Yes,
There'll be
the
no
plus
Plus.
is not going to be a plus.
There'll be a 17 and there'll be a Air, whatever they call that. Then
More
the
on
Pro.
that next week.
Then the Pro models.
Yep.
And will they then go boom at the top end with a folder?
No,
You know?
takes too much of the emphasis and the shadow away from the 18. Anyway, we're gibbering on. Two Blokes Talking Tech, and we have all the details of those things at EFTM.com and techguide.com.au.
Everything about tech you never wanted to know. This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
Oh, how about this for a tagline? Faster speeds, flawless coverage, game-changing value. That's what you get with the Orbi range from Netgear. So if you're looking for networking for your home, your small business, whatever it might be, the Orbi is what's right for you. The Orbi 7.7 series is a tri-band Wi-Fi 7 product. It's a mesh system, so you have three. In this case, it's a 3-pack, 3 devices. One of them is a router. Plug that into your existing modem, and you don't need to change anything. Just plug it in. And then the 2 satellites just need power out throughout the home. 2-pack will cost you $9.99, 3-pack $14.99, and of course there's Orbis that are above that and below that in range for different reasons, different speed, different range and coverage through your home, and there's a lot of benefits to the Orbi system, including Netgear Armor and parental controls. It is a whole of home system that gives you everything you need when it comes to networking. So check out all the details and all the products at netgear.com.au.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick.
Have you looked at your Disney Plus lately?
No.
You should do a refresh. There's another tile on the homepage.
Like under the Star Wars tiles that exist?
It's next to the Star Wars tiles.
Oh,
There's
how
now
does that
7
happen?
tiles.
7?
7.
Stars, one of them or something, isn't it?
There is. Oh, let me tell you now. There is Star Wars is one. There's also National Geographic,
Oh, yeah.
Pixar,
Yep.
Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to think of the others while I'm looking it up.
Come on, Stephen.
But there's Star as well. Star.
I said that. That's what you said.
So
literally.
I'll tell you what they are. Right, they are Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, and Star. What's that?
6.
There's a
Now.
7th.
ESPN.
ESPN
That
is
bloody
now a
time.
new tile. It went live Wednesday morning.
Yep.
So what time you're listening to this, watching this,
It's ready to go.
you are good to go. And how about the timing? The timing of it, NBA Finals, and the
MLB,
MLB
opening
season.
games.
Hello. So really, really smart timing.
Dodgers, the
Yeah.
greatest record in MLB for 2025.
Right,
2 from 2. No
season's already
other
started.
team has won a game
Really?
because they're the only 2 games that have been played. It was the Tokyo series. They played like
You idiot.
a week before. It's like the round 0.
I'm
you know?
thinking as they already started. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
they played 2 games in Tokyo against the Cubs.
So it's like NRL going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Shohei Ohtani's pretty big in Japan,
I
so
bet. You can't walk
huge,
down the street in Tokyo.
huge money. He would not have walked anywhere.
Wow.
Huge money they would have made out of going there, yeah. And it is
Wow.
just weeks away before Val Quinn takes my spot here on Two Blokes Talking Tech,
And he'll be there.
And I couldn't give a rat's what you're doing because
Mate,
I will be at Dodger
watch
Stadium.
the game, see if I can see you on TV.
Okay, mate.
Should, hold up a sign, two blokes talking tech at the thing. I'll see if I can spot you.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
It would be funny if you did.
Hilarious.
That would be good.
Chances of it being seen though, pretty low.
But they don't do a lot of crowd shots there. Or
Not
where
really,
are you
no.
going to be sitting?
We've got 6 games, and I've tried to move us around. So I've tried to get us a spot pretty much all around the stadium
So
at different
6.
spots.
So you're in LA for how long?
I'm going to say we're in LA for 7 days.
So, and every day.
Every night we're going to the
you're not
Dodgers.
going to Universal. You're not going to Disney.
No, during the day we go to Universal
Oh, these are night
and
games.
Peterson Museum, and then we're not going to Disneyland the first week.
What museum?
Peterson Museum is a car museum, and then we fly to Washington for a couple of days, Houston for a couple of days, come back to LA for 4 days of Disneyland. 3 days of Disneyland over 4 days.
Wow.
One of the days is a really busy day, and we're
Yeah.
not going to go because you get kicked out early because there's some bloody thing on Star Wars or something. I don't know.
At Disneyland?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're not going to hang around for that, are you? You
No,
got a game to
definitely not. No,
Yeah.
we're not going to Dodgers on the way
Oh.
on the home
Okay.
stint.
Are you staying in Anaheim?
We're staying in Anaheim when we're in Disneyland. Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
So the other thing, and back to the story, Max has launched, or launches next week. Sorry, we talked about the pricing last week, so go and watch that show for all that rubbish.
Yeah.
But I did confirm with Foxtel, that Max will be part of the Stack and Save. So if you've got Binge and KO and
Hubbl.
Lifestyle, Hubbl is the
Yeah.
service. If you've got 5 services, you can now get $15 off.
Not bad.
So that's good.
But so that's right, because if you're a Hubbl customer,
You
you're
can
not-
stack
you
all your
can't. You don't, because if you're a Foxtel customer, you get it for free, the ad-supported.
ad-supported version. Yes.
But if you're a Hubbl customer, it's the app, all the apps, and
Correct.
so you can get the
you can add Max
proper,
on
you can
and get
that'll
$5
be part
off.
of it. Oh,
Yes.
nice.
So you might have Netflix, Binge, KO, and Flash or Lifestyle now.
Yep.
And you can add Max, get the 5, and have $15 off. So you can certainly get $5 extra
They
off.
do well also. So they've got a good relationship with Max, I suppose. The
Mate,
Foxtel group.
they would have given Warner Brothers Discovery whatever they wanted because they need to have their customers.
Yeah.
They need, when they get complaints about where has Succession gone, where has Game of Thrones gone, where is The Last of Us.
Max.
It's on Max. It's on your box. You can still get it. And they're like, but it's not in this channel. And people, mate, they're going to lose their mind. I'm telling you. Yeah. They're going to lose their mind.
Especially those older customers who sort of you change things around. You change
not happy, Jan.
They might walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
But it's I know my wife's a big Game of Thrones fan. She's doesn't mind rewatching Game of Thrones.
Really?
Doesn't won't rewatch a movie with me, but she'll rewatch Game of Thrones.
That sounded like a slight on her there, mate. You okay? Everything all right?
No, she loves Game of Thrones.
Okay.
It's funny, and ironically, as you know, she didn't like it.
She didn't like it originally, yeah.
I introduced her to her, and she goes, I don't want to watch this. And then it got popular, and I thought, hello, she's back.
She's into it.
She's back. And I say to her, I tell her, I say, you're a tourist. You're a tourist. You came in late. You're a tourist. But anyway, no, it's going to, because I'm a Foxtel customer, I'm going to be seeing how this works. So when's it from the end of the next week? Yeah. So I'll be seeing how that all works out as well. Nice. And how the channels change and the content in each channel changes. Because, like, is it Showcase? Is that the Showcase? Will that cease to exist now or what? That's all HBO shows.
Oh, mate, I assume so. I don't know. I haven't watched a channel in years, so I don't know. You're weird like that.
Have you been watching White Lotus?
No, I've never seen it. You know, I saw a TikTok the other day. Someone goes, I haven't watched White Lotus because no one's been able to explain to me what it is. And I went, I'll
tell you what it is. It's a story set in an exotic hotel where all these wide range of characters gather.
Is it the exotic Marriott or what? Marigold or something?
No, different to that.
Is that a different
And there's
movie?
all these intersecting stories that happen and things go down. And you know,
mate,
it's
you've not sold to me at all.
Twists in the tail.
No, I'm out. Boring.
No, it's not bad, Joe. That's our together show. Joe and I watch that together. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, but it's not bad. We've been watching it as it comes out week to week. It comes out every Monday.
Get on it.
Yeah, no, actually, it's on my list. I'm watching. I'm going to watch that this week.
Man, I'm going to download
that's
so much stuff for America. So much stuff for America. It's going to be wild.
Yeah. So how many more weeks before you go?
2 full weeks.
So this week. So next week and the week after, and then see you later, Trev.
I'm going on the Friday, buddy.
That's your launch date. Launch date is when? April
11, buddy.
Bye. Well, should I
come Two Blokes Talking Tech, episode 6. If you come,
can I come to the airport and see you off or what?
You know the
imagine that if I turn up.
The food court that's not airside that has the glass windows. Well, you wouldn't walk down there much. Oh no, to United you do walk down
United. There. I go right past there.
You sit there and wave.
So is that where you'll be taken off from those gates?
Yeah,
oh, you're United.
We're fine United. Yeah,
giddy up points, baby.
No, we booked it on points, so it's a Virgin.
That's what I said.
Virgin. Oh, I thought you meant earning points.
You're gonna you've booked it on the points.
Yeah.
Good for you, mate. Good for you.
No earn, but we're free.
You know, use them, mate.
Mate, the fact that I can get 5 seats for free is wild.
Mate, hello, economy.
Yeah. What do you think I've got? How many points do you think I've got?
Mate, you're not going to put yourself up in a business, or something?
No, I don't have any points.
Okay.
And you can't upgrade a points flight.
It's all equal. All equal, mate.
Yeah.
All one in, all in.
One in, all
in.
That's the way we roll.
That's how it is. 100%. 1 in, all in.
Yeah, get down, pick up the big car, and off we go.
It's the way to do it. What car are you picking up?
Just whatever's big.
Just a big, like
CS. CS. Yeah, we need probably more
people
space.
People move it. Wow.
Well, we need a big Tahoe or something.
Wow. Yeah. I'm sure
I'm very worried about how many bags is going to be.
I'm sure the conversation will be a lot different.
Amanda's like, how many bags can we take? I said, please 1 each. And she goes, I'm going to need more than that. I went, well, we can take legally 15, like on United. We can take 3 bags each. But the problem is the domestic flights. That's going to cost me so much money. So I've budgeted like $1,500 for excess baggage because you've got to pay for your bags on domestic flights. America sucks.
Yeah, wow.
All right, folks, Two Blokes Talking Tech, episode 676. Thank you to Arlo. Thank you to Netgear. We'll be back next week, and we're already available as a private feed. If you want to hear us talk rubbish, it's on YouTube.
Click on the link below.
Just search Two Blokes Talking Tech, and then click the link below any of the episodes for the private feed that week.
Do it.
See you next week, buddy.
Bye-bye.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.